Last time in Yourgeekfix, we built this projector and also completed the electronic portion of our leg. Today we'll be finishing up that leg as well as our head frame. So stay tuned. This is Yourgeekfix. The last box was pretty exciting, I gotta say. It really had a lot of pretty big things that we did, from the projector to the leg. And you know, up to this point I've been complaining about the fact that it feels like there were so many things that we were getting parts out for and starting, but nothing that we were actually completing. And now it feels like we're finally getting some closure. So today that's what we're going to be working on a little bit more. In this next box we cover issues 31 through 34, which focus on the leg and the head. Right here I can see a lot more of those parts. It's really cool because these are very familiar parts and very big pieces too. And of course we always have our standard piece of paper in the bottom. And I'll put that box right over there. In these issues we cover a lot more of the miniatures, the models, the animation that was done in all three films really. When I interviewed Dan Lanigan, one of the things he told me he had at one point in time was one of the animated AT-ATs. We again get to see a lot of the ways in which things that robots did in the film back at that point in time, like in Empire Strikes Back, we can actually do these days. In fact, actually, this kind of ties in with some of the things that I do for work. Something else that's inside this first issue, which I found interesting, is that they talk about two things that are kind of close to my heart. One of them being matte paintings, which is exactly when I was younger, that's what I thought I wanted to grow up to be, was a matte painter. Which these days we do digitally, although I have heard of a couple movies in which they actually brought back old matte painters to be able to do that, but it's kind of a dying profession. The other thing that it talks about in some of these magazines is robot competitions, which I also had an affinity for when I was younger and even got to participate in. So speaking of robots, one of the parts that we're going to be doing today is the right foot component. So continuing on with this leg right here, which I guess, yeah, for some reason I was thinking of it as his left leg. That's correct. It would be, this part would be the right leg, and it would be backward because we got our other leg sticking out here. I wasn't thinking in the right orientation. So that means that we're going to be opening up this package for issue 31, and be careful, again, there's parts that are hidden that you might pass over, like this one that I almost threw out. And I'll put that over there. Sometimes I'm not really sure what to fully unpackage. I really should wait until I see the instructions just to make sure there's not some part that they're giving me I'm gonna have to hold on to. So here's a majority of his foot, I guess you could call it. And here they refer to it as the inner foot and outer foot casing. So yeah, it's his foot. And then this little part right here is the power bus cable mounting plate, which I will be interested to see if that's actually going to be a functionable thing or if those are just hoses or something that we're connecting. So to assemble this foot, it looks like the first thing that I'm going to be doing is taking this piece right here that doesn't have any holes in it. We'll be mounting that on to this side like so, which you can see that there's a little piece here where it slides through like so. It did it automatically the first time. There we go. Just pushing that on, flipping it over now, and looks like unfortunately I'm going to be pulling out my screws again. It's the same assembly screws that we were using last time. It looks like we're putting in just two of those. So one, yeah, there's one that goes here, one that goes over here. So I'm gonna take my screwdriver. This is when I find out too if that cable, if I made it long enough. There was a cable that we had to measure out, and admittedly, because they didn't provide me with measuring tape, Generally speaking, when they don't provide me with something, I've been trying to just roll with it and see if I still can get by. So we'll find out today if that's long enough, or if I'm gonna have to disassemble this leg to get this long enough to plug into whatever I'm gonna plug it into next. Or hopefully I'll be plugging it into something today. Now this little piece right here is gonna be fitting in to the mounting place LPR33, which is right here. So I'm just going to take that, slide it into here. Sure enough. Alright, so it only goes in one direction. And then, when that's in place, we're going to be taking this piece. I'll bring this part on, like so. I'm starting to feel like that wire is not long enough at this point, but it is what it is. So slide it on over that. Okay. And then hoping for the best, it looks like I'm going to go ahead and put in more of those same screws into here. So we're going to do 4. If anyone out there has put this together that had a bad experience in which you actually had to take it back apart to fit something, let me know. It should look something like that, I guess. Yeah. Looking a lot more like R2's actual leg at this point. Next, issue 32. So, a little secret here before we continue on. I did go back. I actually took apart the entire leg. And luckily I had actually extra parts. They had sent me some extra parts earlier on. And it just happened that was the extra parts I had. So I had extra cables, replaced the cables just in case I'd pulled them or messed them up. And so I have new cables in here that are the right length so that now I can fit it into what it looks like I have to do on this next part. So what I'm going to be doing now is I'm taking this sensor right here, so this is the infrared sensor, and what I'm going to be doing is taking that and I'm putting it into this little piece right here, right onto that hole right there. Somebody told me that they do replace the screwdriver. I think maybe that's on the Iron Man, but one of them, we get another screwdriver. Hopefully it's on this one. I noticed that the ends of my screwdriver are starting to get a little bit worn. So anyway, we'll see. I'm going to be taking this screw here, and I'm going to be sticking it right here, and carefully, so that I don't break the board or accidentally unscrew it, or scratch the board, or break the board, or anything like that. Putting it right there. Perfect. And now, what I'm going to be doing is taking this cable that's now long enough, and I'm going to be taking it and sticking it right into this 3-pin connector right here. Just like that. And so now it clips right in there. And okay. All right, so now we're going on to issue 33. I was tempted, seeing that we're working on part of the ring assembly again. I thought, well, I'd skip on to issue 34 because it's working on the foot. But it turns out that we aren't only going to be working on the ring assembly of the head, but also finishing up our bottom of our foot here. So I think I'm going to stick with the order that they are putting it into. So the first thing I'm going to need to do, I've got a ring. I've got a couple of, ooh, those look very cool. I always thought of them as just being just tubes, but look at that. Very nice. Footing on the foot base is the first thing that I'm going to be doing. We're going to be using more of those same screws. And luckily I have a few that are already out. I'm going to be taking the foot much like this. Let's see here. In the picture they're doing it this way, but so that my camera can show it, we're going to do it this direction. And I'm going to be taking it and I'm going to be sticking this foot assembly on. so that my sensors stick through right here. And then I'm going to be taking more of these black screws and just sticking them in there and just screwing those right on in here. So all right, there we go. So there's the bottom of our foot. Something I haven't mentioned yet is, honestly, this foot, this length of the leg by itself is pretty darn heavy. I mean, it is really heavy. Remember that this model is mostly plastic, though there are metal parts like these, and a lot of the reason for that is that for this to move around and to work the way that it does, it's going to need to be a bit lighter. And so definitely I can see why they couldn't do this in metal. Next I'm going to be taking my ring assembly. I get it. So basically we have some pieces to our ring that already arrived previously, which I do have right here. And then we should also have a bunch of little parts here that I put, I think, in here. I did. These right here. Oh, there's two of them. Here's the third one. There we go. And then what we're needing to do is we're actually going to put the whole thing together. So I was thinking that I missed something and couldn't find it, but it's just that I have all the parts, and now we're going to assemble it all together. We've got DF40 here, we've got 38 here, and then we've got 39 here that they're connecting together. And then we've got these pieces that go on the bottoms, just like that, that we're going to be screwing into. So, that one. Oops. That one. Now, we need these little tiny screws, and I'm going to be screwing them in as I go around here. This is the reason why you hold on to all your screws as you're going along, because otherwise, I think I got these screws in the last set. There's one case where they only gave me exactly what I needed screw wise. So, okay. Now, we've got that ring complete. We're going to be putting it on the bottom of my head here. Again, we're keeping the number side up, which has some little triangles on it, like right here. And we're using those to line up with other triangles, supposedly, that are on the head right there. And if I put on the right parts in the right places, then everything should snap together from here. It just might be all in place. Perfect. Okay. And now we're going to be using our nuts and the bolts again. Not fun for me. These nuts and bolts have been horribly painful and difficult. Okay. Looks like they are all in there. So, which I will be able to put back on my post, just like that. And putting that over there now brings us to issue 34, which will be wrapping up our leg and some of the electronics, and we get to test the motor, which is good. I've been worried about what happens if I have some parts that aren't connected. We have two sensors that we put in, one that's on this end, the other one that is right here, and then we have our motor, which is right here. The only part we're going to be able to test here is the actual motor. And then we're going to be able to put on some more plastic parts to kind of cover things up and make it look all nice. These are referred to as the fuel cell. Oh, there's some plugs right here. I think for covering up screws, probably another greebly or two. And then one more connector. I don't know if that's something that we're going to be using long term, or if it's just so we can test this part. I'm going to bring my tester over here. And so it looks like the first thing that we're going to be doing, we're going to be actually unplugging our current connector, which is right here, so that we can plug in this one just to test the motor. So I wonder why we didn't do that like before now, but whatever. Okay, there's that. My pins are still good. Okay. Connecting this part with my new cable that they're just loaning me. Like I said, it looks like this is just for temporary purposes. Connecting that into here on this part of my tester. Then connecting the other side into here. And so that we can actually test that motor. Just like that. And then, okay. And so now when I push my button, supposedly, I think I turned this off actually. Yeah, I did. Make sure your tester's turned on. Alright, here we go. Ooh, it's nice and quiet. Like that. I thought pushing the other button would make it go the opposite direction, but it doesn't. So, yeah, look at that. It sounds like R2, doesn't it? Pretty awesome. So the test ran fine. Putting this one back on, which I did attach kind of tightly because that's how they told you to do it. As straight as I can. There. Okay. So everything's back together and obviously it works. Perfect. As we turn our page now. The next thing I'm going to be doing is covering up that motor using my fuel cell cover. And so it looks like the first thing that we do is we will be putting in some plugs. So this is where these little plastic plugs come in. I guess they're all the same pretty much. Nope, they are not. There's two that are angled like this. The rest are flat like this. So okay. So the ones that we need to put into here though are the two longer plugs, it says. So that's these ones, the angled plugs. The two longer angled plugs. We're going to be pushing into these holes over here and here, it looks like. Now, we're going to press two of the shorter plugs into the ones up above it. Then I'm going to use four of the shorter ones for this area right here, which must be all the ones that are exposed or something, because those are the only ones that we're plugging into. We've got all of our holes filled up. We're going to be taking our greeblies, it looks like, and we're just going to be putting it like this direction. Yep, just like that. And then we're going to align the inner cover of the foot with this. Think like that. Yep. So we're putting in the self-tapping screws into these holes right here. So one right there, I guess. 2, 3, 4. All right. And then once when we have those, I'm going to take the other greebly here and I'm going to fix it onto this one. They do only fit one way, so if I try to put it on the wrong way, as you can see, it wouldn't fit. So it's only going to go this direction. And so I slide these, there we go, just like that. And then we're going to take that and we're going to attach that right onto here, and we're going to be putting in 4 more of those self-tapping screws. Alright, works for me. And then, let's see here. I'm surprised we don't have anything to fill in those holes, but whatever. Now, as you can see, I have a couple holes here. I have a couple of holes here. And then, I get these tubes right here, which are rather iconic. I love the fact that they're just so accurate. That's just so great. So all that we have to do, it says, is just take those power bus cables, and we're going to be sticking them into the ends of these holes. So starting here, just like that, and putting it into, let's see here, the top one goes to the first hole right here. Ooh. Like that. And then the second one goes into the second hole, just like that. Look at that. Way cool. And with that, we have an entire leg going on. Now I want to thank Fanhome for providing these parts. Also, if you're interested in actually purchasing this model, check the links below. And don't forget to use the promo code R2-D2. Also, don't forget to check out our Iron Man build and other big videos that we got on the way. In the meantime, like, subscribe, comment below. This is your Geek Fix.